1 Timothy 1 verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity. Based on yesterday's sharing, that person is Kong Hee's wife. When I saw it, I was shocked. Where does such a demeanor come from? Do you know what her behavior actually signifies? Her dancing and singing tendencies are not imitations of a style she dislikes but rather a clear expression of her adoration for something. Like those dance masters, when you watch their performances, you can't sense even a hint of forced actions. Kong Hee's wife is just like that. She is completely immersed in her beloved dancing and singing, and she is mimicking the ideal style in her mind. However, that belongs to the lowest consciousness of the world. One can imagine what kind of faith she possesses. I understand that you are trying to understand a person's character based on their actions rather than the meaning represented by the overall trend. Indeed, it does not represent a good example. However, when you see someone doing this action, do you observe if they are reluctantly learning it or doing it with a forced effort to please you? From their behavior, you can see their inner character, whether completely corrupt, partially corrupt, or compromising. That's what I meant. As for the Argentine revival you mentioned, at that time, Nehemiah brought Hing Shing with him and went to film there. Those videos were truly unbearable. The first time I watched them, they made me feel nauseous and want to vomit. They held the cameras, and the footage shook and swayed, making me think I was watching a 4D film. After watching for a while, I already felt nauseous. Indeed, the second encounter with such a situation was during the 10 days gathering. I really couldn't bear to watch those videos filmed like war correspondents. I could only watch the footage filmed from the mountaintop perspective because I couldn't handle it. I personally cannot watch subjective camera footage. They really dedicated themselves to filming these videos and made significant sacrifices. However, fortunately, these videos are not worth watching either. When I saw the performances on stage, they brought a group of sisters wearing short skirts to dance, even performing highly provocative dances. How could this happen at a Sunday gathering? Did they make a mistake? At that time, I already felt that it was highly exaggerated, and later, I saw that Kong Hee's side had taken it even further. It's unimaginable that the church would approve of such things, especially when a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour gathering was trendy and sparked the Argentine revival. However, after participating in these gatherings, I discovered the issues with these churches. They visited this particular church and participated alongside a large group of people, including figures like Peter Wagner, Cindy Jacobs, and others. They organized revival meetings, conventions, and other events. When you attend these gatherings and visit these churches, they share the success stories of the church. Still, all the sharing revolves around how their structures have led to success. However, my focus is on character rather than structure. I am interested in the motivations behind the driving forces. Are they driven solely by self-interest? Are they willing to employ any means necessary to achieve their goals? All these things are just gimmicks. Clearly, the congregation's faith is not considered. In contrast, every action taken by Zion is carefully weighed in respect of the brothers and sisters' faith. Every aspect of our processes, whether our interactions with one another, our attire, or the order of our gatherings, requires my approval before implementation. Regardless of the logistics, gatherings, interactions among brothers and sisters, or even the structure of family gatherings, it is evident that every aspect is not driven by self-interest or to attract others but purely with the consideration of faith. Therefore, I can easily see from the structure what the considerations were for. They are not concerned about whether it might lead people to commit adultery or have thoughts relating to sexuality. In short, the purpose is to attract the congregation so they don't feel bored. Indeed, I understand that ways need to be found to engage the congregation and prevent them from feeling bored. This is crucial, otherwise, the purpose cannot be achieved. For example, if you were to deliver a sermon and halfway through, 90% of the congregation is falling asleep, it would not achieve your goal of sharing God's word. We do many things, such as maintaining a group, like the Young People's Fellowship I once attended. They wanted to engage a group of young people, so they would have weekly meetings to discuss and plan programs. They would also organize celebrations during holidays and festivals. I understand its underlying principle, but that shouldn't be the primary purpose. Their main goal is to maintain the congregation, and they will go to any lengths to achieve this. From this, I can see the character behind it. Although I also want to maintain the congregation, would choose to let go of 90% of the means they employ. I would incorporate elements that allow brothers and sisters to grasp their faith easily and purely without any impurities. However, I have discovered that they are willing to incorporate impurities and learn from the world. From this, I understand their true motivation. I face the same situation as them and have the same needs, but I am willing to let go of the means they use. Actually, these methods don't need to be deliberately learned. You can learn them simply by turning on the television, right? Just by exposing yourself to revealing clothing, do you understand? They're constantly being taught to you from all directions. When they adopt these methods, what kind of character do the people behind them or those people themselves possess? Of course, they might use excuses like compromising or having no other choice, but if they can say, this is the only option, that means they know it's wrong, right? Knowing it's wrong and still looking for excuses, isn't that making things worse? If they make mistakes out of ignorance, they can be forgiven to some extent. In the past, you would see that before those people fell, I often said they had issues and warned you to avoid contact with them, like Jim Bakker. However, you would also notice that I could accurately pinpoint their problems. One of them, the person who started having problems, I am unsure because it has been a long time since I have looked at their data. When Todd Bentley fell, I noticed another person beginning to have problems. Cindy Jacobs, she was also constantly shaking her head. In fact, in terms of psychological state, this belongs to another phenomenon. 1 Timothy 1 verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity.
We make our stand, whatever cost. We won't lay down on heavenly soil. Redeemer, grant us a miracle. Show me all your true colors. Now, it's not by might and not by sight. Deep down we know our bloodline is royal. Victorious Spirit of God arise. These are all our true colors. Now, this is our twilight. The end and beginning. Out of the shadows, a legend is reborn this day.